Happy holidays, everybody. Welcome to the Aerial Assault. I am Ash. As always, you are now watching officially the longest running show that we have on the 3 Count. So, thank you very much. Thank you very much. I wouldn't be doing this if it wasn't for all you people that were viewing. I know this is only the 6th episode, but the page has been going out for 2 months. And this is pretty much the only show that has been running consistently with basically no breaks. It's basically the show that for some reason I seem to put a lot of my time into and want to invest in. You know, I write down more notes for this show, which is only an hour long, than I do for like any other show. But this is still, I don't know, I love watching 205 Live. I really enjoy talking about what happens on the show to you guys. So thank you all for helping me to push this show to be actually, in our very short lifespan, the longest show that we have actually done. Like I said, I'm going to continue pushing forward with these shows. I do apologise for the show being 1 day late. Obviously, you know, it's Christmas. Familial responsibilities do pop up. So I do apologise. But here we are, episode 6, the Boxing Day special of 205 Live. Now, we start the show, you know, basic fashion. We started it up backstage with Drew Gulak waiting on the phone. He's been standing there. He's looking quite impatient. He's waiting. Cedric Alexander walks onto the scene and asks Drew Gulak, what are you waiting for? You waiting for the boss to call you? To which Gulak quite quickly responded with, why would Sasha Banks call me? Which I thought was quite a nice little reference in there as well for Raw, and it's quite funny. Obviously, he was talking about Enzo Amore. So Gulak said that he was actually waiting for his best friend to call him, which is odd for him to still continuously call him his best friend after he's berated Gulak after the past few weeks. He made him dress as an elf on Monday Night Raw. Just a lot of little things here and there, which would make you think that Drew Gulak really shouldn't be aligned with Enzo Amore anymore, but here we are. But Cedric Alexander was trying to make Drew think, he was trying to get him to wonder why he is still aligned with Enzo after everything that's been going on. And by the end of this very short, 2-minute segment, if it was that, it really did look like Drew Gulak was wondering, should I really be here? But then the camera sort of fades to black, open with the opening show montage, and we cut straight into our first match with Hideo Itami versus Jack Gallagher. Now, I'm really happy with the fact that they haven't kept Hideo Itami fighting jobbers and no-names on the show for that long. Normally, they'd make the superstars fight them for about a month, maybe a bit more, depending on where they're trying to push their characters in terms of a storyline. But after the reality of what happened on Monday Night Raw this week, where Hideo Itami actually did break the nose of the Brian Kendrick with the GTS. Now, Kendrick is obviously out with the injury, and they actually used this and turned it into a little bit of an angle for 205 Live, with Jack Gallagher coming to the ring, exclaiming that he was going to get revenge on Hideo for what he had done to Brian Kendrick the night prior. Now, they're obviously building Hideo up to be this really big bad of 205 Live, but I don't know if they're trying to make him face or if they're trying to make him a heel, but the way he keeps chanting respect me at the crowd kind of makes me think that they're trying to push him as a heel, kind of the way he left NXT. But the match kind of went back and forth. I actually expected them to have Hideo just sort of blast through Jack Gallagher in a way and just pay him no heed at all, but that isn't what happened. And this match really did go back and forth, which I was really quite happy to see, because Hideo was never shown as just a completely dominant person. He was shown to, in NXT, he was shown to put on great matches with all sorts of superstars. No matter who they were, from Cassius Ohno to Bobby Roode, he had great matchups. And this match, it was quite a good match to open the show, close the year with. It went back and forth, to the point where it actually looked like Jack Gallagher was going to win at the end of the match, where he used the Brian Kendrick's Captain Hook finishing move on Hideo Itami, and it looked like Hideo was going to tap out for a minute before Hideo did manage to wiggle his way through and eventually hit Jack Gallagher with the Rings of Saturn submission move, making Gallagher tap out. So your first winner of the night was Hideo Itami. Then we had a vignette then showing everything that had been happening with Tony Nese. He hasn't been there for a couple of weeks now since he'd been jumped by the Zo train. for, really speaking up to Enzo Amore in a backstage segment. Now, it showed this little package of Tony getting beaten up, and then it went to an actual backstage segment then of Tony Nese being interviewed, asking, after everything that's transpired between you and the rest of the Zo Train, are you still a member? To which Tony Nese responded by saying that he was really, if he did see any member of the Zo Train, he was actually wanting to knock them out. But he said that he wasn't going to do that because since Enzo has come to 205 Live, his stock has increased. He's found an increase in wages. He's found that he's become a more round, better superstar, and his bank account is apparently a lot better for having Enzo Amore on the show. So it doesn't really look like he's going to shift. But then Akira Tozawa interrupted, asking, are you on the train or are you off the train? To Tony Nese. To which Tony Nese just sort of smiled and then laid Akira Tozawa out with a punch, which set us up really nicely then for the next match, which was then Tony Nese versus Akira Tozawa. Now, I don't really know what I was expecting going into this match. They did announce it at the beginning of the night, but I wasn't sure whether or not they were going to have Tony Nese lose and just make it look like, here you go, you're not really up to the scratch. And I thought maybe the Zo Train might come out, but oddly enough, Tony entered. He had his whole I'm better than you shtick and did the whole 8 things, pointing at his abs sort of stuff. He did all that again, so he's back to the normal person. Akira came out holding his face from where Tony has just punched him. And aside from the few seconds worth of offense that Akira Tozawa got in, this match was all Tony Nese. I mean, he was all over the place. There was some striking moves. There were some high-flying moves. They went through the ropes. They fought on the outside for a little bit. This match was basically all just a show of dominance from Tony Nese, which shows that maybe the attack that he did receive off the Zo Train is just a launching pad that he can use now to help propel himself forward into the future and show that he can be a much more dominant superstar, which goes with the physique that he currently has. Because I think that he may be being a bit wasted with just this whole little I'm better than you and then losing shtick. I mean, he looks like a genuine threat, so use him as such. And I think now that he's got that little bit of momentum and that reason behind him to actually push forward, that is actually going to propel him to do better within the division with an absolutely decisive victory over Akira Tozawa as well. So he hit like a running knee in the corner, and that's what finished the match. Akira couldn't answer the 3 count, and it was a 1-2-3 pinfall victory for Tony Nese. Then we just went for a replay for Monday Night Raw, where Enzo Amore and Nia Jax were underneath the mistletoe, and it looks like they were going to kiss, and they got like really close, and then Alexa Bliss interrupted and said that they really needed to talk strategy about the upcoming Women's Royal Rumble. Congratulations to the women on that, if I haven't already said so. But that was interrupted. Akira, Enzo and Nia then sort of just look at each other, they look back up at the mistletoe, and then Nia just goes, and then she leaves. But I really am just starting to get a little tired. I was already tired of the Enzo-Nia thing when it started weeks ago. But I really, really hope that they just kill this now, because they're just playing and they're tempting it. But why? Nobody's really wanting it. I mean, the crowd apparently for some reason got into it on Raw. But I'm not one of those people. After that, though, we had our main event, which was a tag team match. Arya Daivari and Drew Gulak of the Zo Train taking on Mustafa Ali and Cedric Alexander. Now, Ali and Alexander came to the ring. During their entrance, they were slating the Zo Train, saying about how bad they were, how if they weren't in the Zo Train, those guys would never be friends, saying how one of them would actually step on the other to get where they need to go, so why are they even a tag team in the first place? They were just throwing a bit of doubt in the Zo Train, but they're seemingly the same as what was happening with Gulak and Cedric Alexander at the beginning of the night. Now, I think that this is going to be starting to be where they're going to start bringing down the Zo Train a bit. I mean, the only thing here tonight that actually made it look like the Zo Train was going to continue was Tony Nese's absolutely defiant victory over Tozawa earlier in the night. But other than that, the rest of the night just started showing dissension and the fact that they don't trust each other and they don't really like each other that much. Enzo wasn't on the show tonight, so I don't know why. There was no explanation given, but he just wasn't on the show. The the match, was swinging between the two teams. One team was on top this time, then it was them, then it was but it was kind of a dull match because it didn't feel like a tag team match. It felt like several intertwining singles competitions between Daivari and Ali, and then all of a sudden then you've got Ali and Alexander. These felt like singles matches, but they just didn't have that tag team feel. I think in the entire match, maybe there's 2 double team moves that were hit, and that doesn't really define a tag team match. You need to see a little bit more dynamic between the 2 competitors on the team and the 2 competitors on the opposing side. You just need to see a little bit more, chemistry between the teams. And I feel that this ran really dry really quickly, because it genuinely did just feel like multiple singles competitions going on within one match, and it did feel a little bit messy, and possibly a bad way for this for the year to go out for 205 Live. I'm thinking that maybe the match between Hideo Itami and Jack Gallagher would have been a much more fitting poise to put in the main event. Maybe even chuck in the Tony Nese match into the main event, because that still has an angle on the Zo Train. That would have also made, it would have made the rest of the Zo Train backstage sitting there thinking, oh, well, maybe he's still loyal, maybe he still wants to be with us. We don't know. But the match, was a bit of a shambles, and it all came to an end when Daivari had Mustafa Ali on the top rope, and as we all know, Gulak has got a no high flying rule, so he got into the ring and told Daivari, look, no top rope moves, get off the top rope, we don't want you up there. To which, Daivari got really distracted and was telling Gulak to get up the ring, he's got this. But then Cedric Alexander came in and hit a lumbar check on Drew Gulak, which allowed Mustafa Ali to knock Daivari off the top rope, hit the 054, and then managed to pick up the nice clean, I'd say clean, but it was a distraction from the wrong source, if you know what I mean. But it picked up the victory regardless in favour of Ali and Alexander. The rest of the Zo Train, I say the rest, basically those 2 guys were arguing then, going all the way up the ramp, showing that they don't trust each other, showing that they don't like each other. So they were there arguing whilst Ali and Alexander were in the ring celebrating, and then the little bar they have come across the bottom of the screen, here, showed up saying that next Monday night, on the New Year's Day edition of Monday Night Raw, we're going to have the Cruiserweight Championship match between Enzo Amore and Cedric Alexander. Now you got to wonder if what Alexander said to Drew Gulak earlier in the night is going to play any part of that match. Is Tony Nese going to play into any part of that match? It's all a bit up in the air at the moment, but that's all we've got to look forward to now. Monday Night Raw this week coming up. The Cruiserweight Championship is going to be on the line. Amore and Alexander. As much as I want to see Alexander win this match, I've got a really bad feeling that it might be Amore, but it's WWE, so you never know. But that's it, guys. That was 205 Live. What do you guys think? Have you guys been watching the show? Has this been a good year for 205 Live? Leave your comments, send personal messages, and once again, thank you for making the Aerial Offensive the longest running show on the 3 count. Makes me very happy, so your guys' support just gives me all that much more momentum to keep going forward, keep making these videos for you. But that's it, guys. I've been Ash, you've been watching the Aerial Offensive. Happy New Year, everybody.